I discovered astrology when I was about 18 years old and began being a student of astrology. And I'm still a student. I have it. It speaks to me. It's like the stars. I mean, it really speaks to me. And my intuition lights up I've learned how to understand it as a symbolic language. I did study, I've studied dreams and the Jungian archetypal psychology, so I understand that there are patterns and cycles that play themselves out, these archetypal things. And astrology is this wonderful map of the heavens and how things, when we're born, we're actually like encoded. It's like when we take our first breath, wherever the stars, wherever the heavens are, it's like we breathe in. We take that impression of the stars inside of ourselves, and it's kind of like encoded in ourselves when we're born. And that's sort of our signature, that's how we sing. That is our signature, how we sing. And that's the blueprint it's a blueprint. Your astrology chart is like your map to happiness. It's like the guidelines. And you can live your chart on all sorts of levels. And, I mean, it's just very intricate how you can work with your chart. You can work with it in a very simple way, or the further along you get, it can be much more complicated. What you find, just like all of us, we have certain characteristics that seem like they're very mature and developed, and then we have other aspects that are more immature and less developed, right? Yeah, and I feel like the onion is coming into my mind when you say that, different layers, like tons of layers when you talk about astrology, because people are like a horoscope. They jump to say, their sun sign. Everybody knows the sun sign, but they don't know. And now this is what I learned as a new student. There is 3 important signs: the sun sign, the moon sign, and the ascendant sign. Does that make sense? And yes, well, those are the most important to you personally. Yeah. But right now, we've been in this cycle of time where the outer planets have been having much more of a powerful influence over us in our development. They've really been at work to help us influencing. Yes, and I really relate to the stars, the planets, as like they're spiritual teachers. I see them as spiritual teachers, and they help guide us along our way. We can work with them at different levels. We can work with them at the highest octave of what is possible, or we can work in the lower, the lower levels, the lower mind levels. That's what I was saying. The whole thing is to integrate these energies and become more balanced and whole as individuals. And use it. And that's what I was talking with my first guest, was that the energy of the stars are supporting us to have a different life in this day we're living, right? That's what I feel. Like the energy is appropriate. So things are happening now. There's a possibility for it to happen because that energy is supporting us now, right? Like the individual freedom, like the internet now making it for the individual person to have his own way to create his own living, right? Instead of being dependent of authority. That's Uranus. Right? That's Uranus going through Aries. Okay. Uranus, which is, of course, rules. Aquarius, which is all about freedom. And Aries is the individual. So it's freedom of the individual. Yeah, there you go. Yes, and so it's right at 2021. It's going to actually retrograde here at the end of this month in June. And it will be coming back. It's had its 7th final square. I don't know, you probably heard about these squares between Uranus and Pluto that have been going on. Pluto I heard that. Regeneration. It helps to regenerate and to transform and to heal. And so they've been like square with each other. So we've had a breakdown. It's in Capricorn. So those are the systems, corporations, society, the established systems, society, exactly. But it can be also with you, with your systems. It works with our own systems, with changing our nervous system, our bone, our skeletal system, our systems. Anything that is not completely in integrity and living up to its authentic potential is being challenged to evolve. And so
like
we're getting, people are calling it, so people are calling it ascension symptoms, where you have these two planets squaring each other. The square is like something has to, it makes you change. It makes you really go through a lot to bring balance, and you have to go through change so you can balance these two they're considered discordant elements, because the Aries is fire and
Uranus,
Capricorn is earth, so they're square to each other. So you have you have to negotiate the difference so new balance can be found. And so a lot of things get recycled or have to be regenerated, and things are broken apart. There's breakdown, so you can break through to you go through chaos and that sort of thing, so you can break through to more high functioning, because that's the purpose really, is you want to get more high functioning. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. To a better place, to something different, to something new, obviously, because it wasn't working. Oh, anyways, it's not that it's not working, but life is a cycle.
There's a lot of, the Aquarian energy is very eccentric. It can seem very chaotic, and it can seem like it can be a very challenge. These energies that we're working with, and we're coming up on the Saturn, where this year in 2016 we'll have, after getting through, we'll have this one final time when they come back, the square to Uranus and Pluto will come back within 1 degree. They won't be exact anymore, and so this December we'll feel that pressure. Plus, Saturn will come back into Sagittarius and be squaring Neptune, and that they'll pretty much square each other the whole year. And this is basically getting real about what's possible. You have the ideals. Neptune is sort of the spiritual ideals. It's sort of like and it can be like a fantasy, but Saturn wants you to make it real. So you have to ground it and make it real. And so that square really puts pressure to make things real, to do the work, because the square represents work. And a square in people's charts, like some of the most successful people in the world have squares in their chart. It makes you work really hard. Like Oprah has lots of squares in her chart.
Wow. So that is to support you, to make it for real, make it grounded onto earth, and make it happen for you when you have a square.
Yeah, but it can feel very frustrating, and it creates a lot of pressure and tension for sorting things out and finding a resolution. And you can do this, like I say, you can work the chart from the lower angle, from the lower vibration of the chart, or you can go to the higher, and it depends on where you're at as a soul, how mature you are, how you work the energy. So a more mature person would work these energies. They totally realize these are operating within them, and they have to work with those energies through meditation or through different practices to be able to balance these energies within. Or you could project these energies outside of yourself and get in conflict and war with someone outside of yourself. You project that disowned, the one that you're not really dealing with inside yourself, you project it onto a situation or person outside. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you feel like, when you blame people is when you don't use the energy. That's when you're losing the energy. When you say, this person is doing this, my boss is doing this to me, instead of saying, what is the work that I need to do. And I understand this because in my midheaven, I have Sagittarius. That's my 10th house. I don't know what house is that on my chart. But Neptune is there, and on the bottom is squaring off my house, my sun house with Saturn. I don't know how many degrees, but isn't that a direct square? Neptune, Sagittarius, and then I have
it's in Mercury. The 4th house? Your sun and Saturn are in the 4th house?
No, I'm going to tell you in what I wish I had it open. You know what? I'm going to look for it, what house it is. But I know Neptune is in Sagittarius and is in the midheaven and is squaring Saturn that is in
Well,
my...
if it's square, then either it's either, do you have a sun Virgo or a sun?
I have sun Gemini. I have sun,
so
Saturn's in my Gemini.
Okay, so they're opposite. They're not square. They're opposite.
Okay, then. Oh,
they're
okay.
opposite.
They're not the same then.
So, and that a lot of times that can manifest as some sort of opposition, and that again, that is a force that's the higher frequency way to work that energy is to have an illumination about something that's hidden and suppressed within your own self that needs to be expressed. That's an opposition. Because
it's not a square.
Yeah, it's a polarity. They seem like they're opposites.
Perfect.
Right?
That's what I thought.
But opposites are never really, it's like a coin. The tail of the coin. I mean, they're just two different sides of the same coin.
Okay. So you can
it's not really opposite. It just appears to be an opposite.
But at the end, it's working for you. If you use it
it's something that you need to be illuminated. As a matter of fact, right now, in June, we're coming up. I'm going to bring this in because this will be meaningful to anybody on. We're really in July. We're just beginning to feel it now. Mars just went over into Cancer.
Okay.
Sun is already in Cancer. Went over on the June 21st. We're going to have all these. Venus already went through Cancer. It's in Leo now. But we're going to also have Mercury come in. And so those are the personal planets. Your Sun is your will, life force. That's your life essence. Your Mars is your desire. That's your ego, your drive, your ambition. And Mercury is the way you think. That's your lower mind, the way you communicate, your attitude, those sorts of things. So they're going to be, when they're in Cancer, they're going to be in opposition, like we were just talking about. They're going to be in opposition to Pluto.
Okay. And
Pluto is actually going to be conjunct the Capricorn full moon, which is coming up the 1st of July. So that's a real strong, there's some other wonderful energies that are happening at that time. There's an opportunity. What happens a lot of times with opposition is there can be all this feeling of resistance where you just want to resist what wants to come up for you to see and be illuminated. But then once it breaks through, you feel so much better, and you have this awareness dawns on you. You have, I call it an illumination, where you have an aha. You understand at a deeper level than ever before. There's, besides opposition, it's also going to be these personal planets are going to be squaring Uranus during the month of July, as well as squaring the South Node. So, that square, that cardinal square has been really, it's been so time and again triggered by the square, because the Uranus in cardinal sign Aries and Pluto in cardinal sign Capricorn, every time we've been having, and then they were sitting there with the North and South nodes square to them, and then when the personal planets crossed over, especially last year when Jupiter crossed over, and then the other personal planets, it just got so, when you get repeatedly, when something it gets sensitized. When you have a shock, repeated shock, it's kind of like a post-traumatic thing. They call it post-traumatic shock, and of course, they're really hypersensitive in that area because you've been shocked there so many times. So, this could be for some people who haven't been doing the work, that it could be, or also you just have a bit more to clean up and to integrate. July can be quite intense with completion. Also, we are getting ready in July. We're already in shadow. We went into shadow with Venus going into retrograde shadow. Every 18 months, 2 years, Venus goes retrograde and begins a new what is called a new synodic cycle. And she will retrograde on the 20, let's see, the 25th of July.
Okay.
And she will retrograde for about 6 weeks. She's already in her shadow. So if you think back, if there was anything that was strong that was happening right around the solstice for you, think back to if there was anything in particular that happened on that day. Because sometimes when you enter the shadow, you'll actually get a glimpse into what the Venus retrograde cycle is going to be about for you. Venus retrograde in general, sometimes one of the things that I've seen during this, right as she went retrograde, I've had 3 guides who have been friends of mine over long periods of time. One of them was a client, actually. I happened to, serendipitously see them. And they were all beneficial males in my life. You know, they were benefic. There was I would call it a love energy. You know, they're benefic. That's what Venus represents, a benefic, loving influence in your life. That brings pleasure and love and, you know, there's appreciation there. There's valuation there with Venus. And so Venus retrograde, she's going to bring back in some forces, some love forces, some love that has been missing, that has gone missing from your life, in the area of your life where she's retrograde specifically. So, I hope that gives you a little bit of a flavor. You know, if you're needing to heal things around Venus, she'll bring back in opportunities for healing to take place. So that if you've had a falling out with someone previously, that maybe you had a love bond with them, but you had a falling out, and maybe you just never, you just kind of never, you just grew apart after that. You never, you'll have an opportunity to not to necessarily rekindle the love with them, but to acknowledge that you had a love bond with that person and to love, send love to them, to be, to express love in your life. The Venus retrograde cycle really helps you to reconnect with love. It's a return of love into your life. Of course, you have to say yes to it. So it's essentially Venus rules love and money. So now is a wonderful time for you to up your game with renewal of having love and money and loving relationships, having pleasure, to focus on those things, to have a return of those things, to deepen in those things. That's the time to say yes to that. Now, when people, if you have blocks or resistance to receiving love, it can be a time when you can feel like, because if you aren't loving yourself and loving your life, then you could feel like you've got to have more love in your life. Like love is missing. So, it can be a time when you just need to focus more on loving yourself and more self-care and self-nurturing. So it depends upon where you're at with the Venus energy, the love energies, especially in the area of your life where Venus is in Leo. And we are coming up, if you look to the west about an hour after sunset right now, you can actually see Venus just about the conjunct. Venus is the brighter planet. She's brighter, and then she's next to Jupiter, and she's going to exactly conjunct Jupiter on, let's look at the exact date.
I have Venus conjuncting my Mercury on my chart. I don't know if that means anything. Hello? Oh, I have you online.
Sorry about that. I'm just I'm looking. It seems like it was July 1st. It's right at that Capricorn full moon.
Okay.
Some people are saying June 30th, but I think it could be June 30th like in the UK, But on the Pacific Coast, where I'm at, it's on July 1st at that at the Capricorn full moon.
Okay.
So it will be exactly trying to Uranus. They're both of those planets right now. They're already. This is all happening right now, actually. With it, it'll be exact on July 1st. That conjunction with Venus and Jupiter, which expands. Jupiter expands that love energy.
Wow.
So, and this is the exact degree. This exact degree, actually, Mars will be entering Leo. Mars has just gone into Cancer for about 6 weeks or so, and because Venus is doing a retrograde in Leo, these two will actually come back together and conjunct in Leo at the same degree that Jupiter and Leo are conjuncting, which is incredible. That's incredible. So this is quite a point. If you have that 21 degree mark in Leo, that is something, something extraordinary is going to be happening. And if you have, even within, I'd say 4 degree orb, so if you have between, say 25 degree Leo and 16 degree Leo, between 16 and 25, within that orb, that is going to be something stellar. If you're fortunate to have degree points there, something really stellar is going to happen for you.
Because
we also had the same point, right? We just recently had Jupiter and Juno, which are they're the husband and wife. That's Juno is the commitment, and that's the husband and wife. And now we're going to have Venus and Mars conjunct in Leo. So there is this whole feeling of recommitment and renewal of your vows, of your male-female aspects uniting in Leo, which is the house of creativity and fun and romance. So there's a whole renewal and regeneration, recommitment that is happening.
And Venus
in that area in Leo.
Yeah. And
so,
Venus is there, it would be more blessing, right? When Venus is there.
Yeah, and Leo has really gone through it the last several years. Saturn has been square to Leo, and now it's finishing up in Scorpio. It's kind of retrograded back into Scorpio. That's doing those last degrees. Myself, I'm very sensitive to energies as an empath. So just, it depends on what's going on. If you have things that you're working out and that you're needing to learn, you're going to be much more sensitive to energies in a certain area of your chart than other areas. So, that's what I've found working with clients over the years. Some people can, and the more self-awareness you have, you definitely, become much more sensitive to the forces, the influences that are occurring, and, just more sensitive to the work you have to do. You're working more at that soul level, that spiritual level of integrating the energies.
Yeah, and this is what I feel astrology is that you can definitely feel the energy. It's just sometimes you're aware of it or you're just oblivious to it. And
exactly, and astrology helps you know what's going on.
Exactly.
So your mind can kind of rest and know, and you can kind of go with the cycle that's happening. Yeah. You know what is up. You know where to focus your energies and where to focus your attention for your best outcome. Whereas if you don't, rather than spinning your wheels, working in an area that just is not going to be fruitful for you at this particular time. The timing, timing's everything. If you don't have the timing right, you can put tons of wonderful, juicy, creative energy into a project, into an area of your life, and the energy just is not there for you. It's just not going to go anywhere.
And this is what's so amazing to consult an astrologer, because it will tell you, the pivotal time for you to start a marriage, a business, right? And this is why they do the billionaires and the millionaires and the politicians. This is why they consult you, right?
Exactly. J.P. Morgan said this was back in the day. I mean, he was one of the first, really truly wealthy individuals. He said, millionaires don't have astrologers, billionaires do.
There you go.
So, it's working, like I was just saying, you're working at a more refined level.
Yeah, a more divine level.
At a more divine level, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you're learning how I remember I can't remember this poet's name. He was having this, he was telling this story about this sheepdog who was like ancient. He was very old. And, he was out there, and his name was Cujo. And he would go out and herd the sheep. And all Cujo would have to do was lean.
Wow.
And he would totally control the sheep's behavior and get them herded to exactly where he wanted to go. He would just, with the very minimal of energy, he would just get himself in position and lean.
Wow.
And so, but here you see all these younger dogs who don't know how to use the energy. And they're out there working really hard to get those sheep to do what they want them to do.
Yeah.
But this, this older dog who had learned how to master, he'd become the master sheep herding dog. He knew how to use his positioning and how to use his body and all so that he could just position and lean a certain way, and the sheep totally responded. So I think that's what we're talking about here, is learning to really work energy so that you can master your energy system, so that that's what the people who, when you work with feng shui, when you work with the Tao, when you work with, when you work from the energy level and learn to master the energy systems, you really can conserve energy, because you really want to conserve your chi. You want to conserve your life force energy. Because the jing, you're born with only so much jing. Okay? So some of the other energies you can build back up, but some of the energy you're born with, that's how much your energy you're born with, and you want to conserve it. You want to preserve your energy so that you don't burn yourself out.
Use it wisely. Do you, in Western astrology, do we look at, do we say past life, karma, and all that? Can we see it in a chart? Like the gift that you had, you come in, and the debt that you have,
you can see anything in a chart. You can see anything in a chart.
Okay.
It depends upon the astrologer, how in particular they're trained. Myself, I'm an intuitive. I really come at it from a coaching, from a coaching methodology, and also from an intuitive, so that I channel the energy. I learned how to read the symbols after years of training and working with numerology and symbolic language, soul language, that sort of thing. You learn how to interpret and bring in the information intuitively. So it just speaks to you. It just speaks to you. You're not in a place where you're projecting what it could possibly mean. You're aligned with the energies, and they're speaking to you.
Okay. And
so it's entirely different than, cookie cutter astrology, which is certainly that's a beginning place where you need to learn how to, what all these planets mean, and the symbolic language, and the difference between an opposition and a square and a sextant. And sometimes there's some odd angles that really, you can a lot of times read energies off the chart just looking at the main alignments that are happening. But sometimes it's important to look at, other things want to speak in a chart that's really going on, depending upon the client and what their particular soul needs are.
And what they are their life, at the moment they come into you, right, as well?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
and you know, the way the universe works, everything's working in synchrony.
Mm.
You know, there's always a synchronicity that's at work. It's just
We don't know.
if you're open and receptive enough so that it can speak to you. So you
so
hear
true.
it. You hear it. Yeah.
Otherwise,
you're so into controlling outcomes, nothing speaks to you.
It's so true.
Which is, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. In life, we feel like and the mind is always so limited. I don't know why. Anyways, it's you know, we asked this question so many times. It's not going to get us
all
anywhere.
that is shifting now. All that is shifting. There's a big energy shift taking place.
Yeah, and thank God. I'm so excited for that.
Well, the younger people coming in, I mean, a lot of the younger people are amazing teachers. They're wired for it. They have a totally different nervous, so they're able to. They don't have the resistance in the nervous system, because the nervous system, the mind, the nervous system is basically the physical apparatus. It represents, it's symbolic of how your mind is, because your nervous system really reflects your mind. Right, the lower mind.
Yeah.
And so the Uranus has been really upping your nervous system, wanting to up the charge in your nervous system. And the nervous system, if there's a lot of resistance in it, it has it doesn't want to have this change. It's resistant to the change. But Uranus is set on having you change, because you know, we can't keep being who we are. Having the same attitude and judgment and that sort of thing. Because Uranus is the higher mind. It's a higher octave of the mind. Wow. And so the younger children, they've already gotten a higher functioning nervous system. Look at how they are with, using computers and, we're entering a totally different age. Before, we used to use the mind more to memorize things. We're not going to use the mind for memorizing. We have access to things that, we can find out that information in a few moments.
Yeah. And,
on the internet or whatever, We don't need to clog up our minds with carrying, different information in our mind when we can be able to access that information.
Yeah, thanks to this new age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are other higher functioning things we're going to be using it for. So we can bring in some of the technologies, because Aquarius really rules technology, the internet, technology, astrology.
Yeah.
So, and then also Neptune is finishing up. She's she's in her own sign, Pisces. Another thing that's happening right now is really our sensitivity is really getting amped up. Our ability to be psychic, intuitive. Look at all the interest in astrology and being psychic and developing your intuition. How it's becoming mainstream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is the change.
That's Neptune. Yeah. And then when Neptune enters Aries, we're going to have a whole new cycle, because Aries is when things are totally new. We enter a totally new cycle.
Okay.
So then we'll enter a whole new cycle as far as our spiritual, our spiritual life, because Neptune really, I think, symbolically represents our spiritual life.
Okay.
Previously, we've been in the Pisces era, so it's been much more, a victim. It's been, we've had, the perpetrator and the victim kind of thing being played out for many cycles.
Yeah.
And you've had somebody that was like, the sycophant or the hierophant or the pope or the, who was a spiritual leader who told you what to believe. But now we're coming into an age where you'll have direct transmission for what is right for you, how you're guided. But we have to learn how to do that also.
And
so there are people.
Aries is the individual too, right? So it's in spiritual.
Exactly. But we got to really make it true where people learn how to use their intuition. So when we reach Aries with Neptune, You know, people can take responsibility for themselves with these higher functioning capacities.
This is what
and we've got to have these higher functioning capacities if we're going to survive as a species.
I love this because this is what I'm feeling. I feel we're going towards that, and astrology is going to prove it to you, right? And they say it's not scientific.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, with the spiritual level, it's in a sense, it's not provable. Your subjective experience is your subjective experience. Your truth is your truth. Yeah.
But
and it's not something that, now with the mind, there's a certain level of it that can be proved.
Yeah.
But, you know, but a direct knowing and personal experience of your godhood, only you can know that.
Absolutely. But isn't quantum physics or quantum mechanics or whatever it is, this, you know, new field of science that is proving the individual, the personal individual, it is that. That's it. That is the personal individual. Like, you can change it.
It will only take us so far, though, as spiritual beings.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's fantastic. It's a quantum leap.
Yeah.
We do have the sciences backing up the spirituality, but it can only take you so far.
Yeah.
You know, there's even further to go as a spiritual being, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely, I agree with you, but it's just, for me, it's to show their limitation that the science cannot get it, but at least you understand now, the moment you try to investigate, you as an individual going to only have that moment with yourself, right? So every individual is going to have that experience with itself, and science is being proven to itself that they cannot prove nothing, right? They're going in circle, but at least they have it. You know, they have the proof that something's happening, but then it's going to be changing every moment. So their theory where they have to reproduce it is not realistic, right, when they do that?
Yes. But astrology, you know, I mean, in a certain regard, yes, there's so much that, you know, you can, I think that you can, even though I think that the proof with astrology is that you can have a prognosis or, you know, intuit a certain direct knowing about what the experience, you know, it's never going to be the same as, say, when I'm talking with a client, what their experience is going to be, my intuition of it. It's never going to be quite the same. But it's a good pointer. It's a good pointer. And it is a step further than where I think science is going to take us. I think astrology is really, I mean, it's the science of astronomy is, that's what astrology is, comes out of astronomy, which is a science, which is a hard science.
Absolutely. And what I love about astrology is that it's going to point us the energy and, you know, it's not even a reality. We create our own reality, but the potential of what can happen, this is there for you. So it's up to you, the free will of the individual, how you use it, right?
Yes.
And that's what astrology is about. This is the
cycle. Another thing that astrology gives you is a vision for your life. Because a lot of people lack vision for their life and really don't know who they are. And, you know, they're pretty limited in what they conceive of their potential to be and how, you know, it shows where, you know, where their weaknesses are, their character flaws, their downfall, their, you know, where they're going to have to work hard. It also shows where their gifts are, where their genius is. That's what the Genius Blueprint system that I created is about. It helps people to live their genius. It helps them. And, of course, it's always is like, it's going to be, you know, you're gonna light up and say, absolutely, yes, that is what I love to do. You know, I mean, any good psychic, anybody who's an astrologer, when you're reading for someone, it should be a confirmation of what it is you already know, but helps you get more clarity about and more confirmation that, yes, you're on the right path, or that, you know, or giving you permission, something you already know that you should drop. That's no longer for you to pursue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this is for everybody, including myself, is that we always have that, you know, knowing inside, but we're always looking for that confirmation. I don't know why I'm getting these thoughts, because we get in those thoughts and we get in those urges, and those are the energy of the stars working for us, trying to help us to propel us to the next level. And then you come to astrologer and a psychic or intuitive to help you confirm. Absolutely. And this is what I love about when you put it that way, because it's to empower you, what you know already.
Exactly. It just confirms what you already know in your deepest heart.
Yeah, when you're so in tune, and it's so amazing. And
it does help you to come more into alignment and more attunement with yourself, to trust yourself. Goethe said, when you trust yourself, you will know how to live. So I think, it is a process of self-discovery and learning to trust yourself and learning to trust, the natural forces, the creator, God, whatever you want to call that life has your back and life is happening for you. We've been programmed and conditioned to think life is against us. And, there's a lot of it. And when you carry those sort of false ideas, those negative projections about life, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what you attract.
Absolutely. Do you, I don't know how to put this, the chakra and the astrology, do you work with that? Or I try to search it.
Yes, I do chakra astrology. The chakras are matched up with, the chakras are matched up with your astrology.
Absolutely. I did some searching and I can't find, a lot of documentation. I found some, but not a lot. I know there is the 49 years, like the first 7 years, the 14 years. You know what I mean? That cycle, like from 1 to 7, and then is that the system you use? And then from 14.
Well, that's a pretty standard. The chakras you have certain chakras active at certain times in your life.
Yeah, age. But then
Rudolf Steiner actually, talks about that. He talks about that the soul doesn't fully incarnate into the body anyway. But the whole energy system for the soul to be able to express through you doesn't really get activated until around mid-30s.
Yeah.
And Jung concurred with that. Jung said that it's, in most instances, people who enter into psychoanalysis before their mid-30s, it, has a limited application because of that. Because the chakras aren't all kind of online. Because, it's where the soul force integrates into you, and it takes time for you to actually activate. It's like incarnate. I think for the whole soul, all the soul forces to incarnate through the body.
Okay. Is it possible for the whole soul to be incarnated into physical body?
No, the soul is God. Yeah. The soul, I think, is. I don't think the soul. I think that there are. Not the way I understand it or the way I see it. I think that the soul is I see the soul as more like a guardian angel. It's it's a pretty massive
energy. Yeah.
It's a big energy being.
I look at it from being 25 feet up high. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's a big energy being.
Mm-hmm.
I see it it's like your oversoul, and it's part of a group soul. And they're, I think that, basically all the souls actually are connected with each other, in a synchrony. But so you're never alone. I think that. Once you really attune more to the spiritual world and to your angelic self, higher self, and then you connect in with other angels and the ascended masters. I think that can go a long way to helping you heal in your psychic centers. I think sometimes you can get really there can be a lot of shock and trauma for people just having the earthly experience. If it's really discordant with yourself as a soul, awareness, energetic, angelic being, and so you can shut down a lot to what really is available to you, but you do have free will, so you can shut down, and it's just it's like a survival mechanism, I think, to shut down. So you just don't, you just shut down the information that comes in as a safeguard, and you really cut yourself off from a lot of divine assistance, though, in that same process.
And that's supposed to nurture us and support us as well, right?
Exactly.
And I feel that the entry point for the chakra and the stars, or is through that, the basic 7 and then more, right? If you are aligned with that, and that's the only way you can have it access is when you are, all aligned and aware of them, right? Sensitive to them, right?
And that's going to be different for different people.
Okay.
I think some people think, that you have to have some sort of a clear perception of the chakras. Everybody's different, how they pick up on the chakras. Some people do see light or balls of light, or, some people have a sensation. Some people have more of a knowing. Everybody's different, how they feel the different energy centers. And, quite honestly, I think, if you're, I think if you're a relatively healthy person, and, I don't see, some people, yes, you can be quite stuck or blocked in certain chakras, like your heart chakra, if you just really are tenuous about giving and receiving love. And you're going to know this yourself, you can tell, just from the different things that the chakra is, that energy center is for, you're going to be able to tell the quality of your life experience related to that chakra, or the chakra, there's certain body parts or certain disease processes that are related to certain chakras. So there are lots of different ways to tune into the chakras besides, and align with them, besides, just having sixth sensory psychic perception about them. You don't have to have that for you to have healthy chakras, is what I'm saying. So, I wouldn't want people to, we all have chakras, and for the most part, unless you're really unhealthy person, your chakras are functioning and aligned with each other. It's just,
it's
a natural given that is happening. So, one of the best ways, I've written a number of books about the chakras that are just these short little books. You can actually get them on Amazon Kindle.
Wonderful.
My chakra books. And I did publish, updated the book on one of the simplest ways to clear and balance the chakras that is good, just first aid with all that's upon us now, with all the challenges we have, for just a good restorative first aid care is a very simple, most of us have bathtubs. If you would just use your bathtub as your sanctuary and set it up so that you regularly, if it's just once a week, it can be daily, whenever you feel like you absolutely have to have it, create a warm bath. Don't make it too hot. You don't want it too hot. Have sea salt. You can use essential oils, use holy oils, any of the holy oils, frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, spikenard, rosemary, are all good oils to use. You just put a few drops of those in your cup of sea salt. The sea salt acts as a carrier, so the essential oils will get dispersed in the water and just, you know, soak for 15, 20 minutes. Another helpful thing, when you're finishing, it'll also clear your auric field. One of the things you want to do as the bath waters are draining out of the tub, just, you know, imagine soot from, that has maybe been absorbed into the salt. The salt is a natural mineral, and it's electrical. It really helps as to electrically charge your electromagnetic field, as well as pull out any toxins along with the essential oils. And the water just naturally, you are an emotional being. You're primarily water. The water of your body is basically the energy in motion, your emotions. When you're expressing yourself, when you're not blocking your energy, you're fully expressing yourself. You don't have blocked energy, but if you do, taking a hot water, warm water bath will help to immediately free up your emotion and help it start flowing again. And just seeing as the bath waters go down the drain, to see, you know, like soot or, you know, anything being cleansed out of your auric field or out of the chakras, just seeing it flowing down the drain, leaving, and then end with a cool shower, not hot shower, more of a warm, cool. The chakras don't like too much heat. They like more of the you know, your body temperature. Okay. Is what they respond best to as far as when you harmonize them and balance them and cleanse them. So it's one of the quickest ways to just, you know, harmonize and balance all of your chakras. You don't have to, I mean, you can submerge your head, face as well, but I found that if you clear the lower, from the heart down, those chakras, generally the others will begin to open up. And you will actually begin to see, you know, everybody's different how they process their emotion. Using your breath, the diaphragm is your organ of processing emotion. And if you will just breathe, you will just naturally start, you know, releasing thought forms or emotions, or people will come to mind, or situations. And you can just release all this. You don't have to, you don't engage with it. It's time to release it, to just let yourself let go. Give yourself the space to just let it all go. And just let yourself be freed of all of it, and rest and be silent, you know, in the moment, you know. Just let yourself be at peace and just let go of everything. So I love that. The body naturally wants to balance and harmonize itself. So if you just will let go and allow yourself to be at peace, the body just naturally wants to harmonize and come into balance. It's not. It doesn't have to be some complicated procedure or methodology you follow. Yeah, this is beautiful because, you know, the outer planet, the whole society, even down to the individual, is requesting us to change. So when you're working on this level, because that is where all the information, whether, you know, past, future, present moment, that's where you're storing all your information, is within your chakras. So if you let go and then allow to, you know, the new to emerge, this is where the work is at, right? Yeah. Go back to the astrology. It's a natural, it can be a very, you need to give space for it to happen. Exactly. If you're always clogging up and taking in more information and just overwhelmed and stuff, I mean, that's not, you're not in a space to integrate the energies and make the most of the opportunities available to you. So you need to release, you need to relax, you need to give space for the integration, the balance, the harmonizing. All this just naturally wants to take place. So you need to give space for that to happen, though. And that's why taking sanctuary and a hot bath, that's one of the easiest ways I know to accommodate the energies that are so much flux and change that's happening now. and just allow things. And then, then you can then you're freed up, you've freed your channels up, and you can receive the information, the guidance you need to move forward.
To the next level. Absolutely. I love that. If you were to tell anybody, what would you advise them? They watch out for the July 21st, July 25th for the renewal, for the love to receive.
Well,
any advice you would give them?
I think, like I said, that June 21st date, you'll get that will give you a clue about how this cycle, this Venus retrograde cycle, is going to be for you. What happened right around then? Because you would have gotten some hints about how this is going to go for you. Who came into your life? What situations came? What was going on right around that time? And you need to focus on, and it could have been dual. It could have been the things that are coming in that are positive, that are wanting to come in. It could be the things that you're needing to let go of. Or it could all be positive, of these things returning to you, love returning to you. It's going to be individual for you.
Okay.
So also you're going to see an illumination at this Capricorn full moon. Exactly. A little bit more clarity about what exactly is going to be going on. Full moons are always a time of release and celebration. So there's going to be things coming in. You're going to know the things you need to let go of during this Venus retrograde cycle even more clearly, and as well what's coming in, what time to celebrate in your life, what wants to really come into your life. Then we'll, all of July they're going to be having these oppositions. So you're going to have, you're going to be seeing things that you're resistant to releasing and seeing about yourself, about your life, that you need to own, you need to integrate, you need to balance. You need to allow to empower you. Basically, the things that are submerged in your unconscious mind, that are subconscious, the things you suppress, are really what are going to help to empower you. You can, that's what I help clients with. I help them to transform these fears they have and to their greatest opportunities. Because really, that's just energy. And when you get over the judgment of it, the resistance to it, you free that energy up and you get on the positive side of the vibration, and it's fuel for you to really realize more of your potential. So that's what is possible in July, is for you to awaken more to the things that you've disowned about yourself that are there for you to help you become more of an empowered human being. So, and then we go into the Venus retrograde cycle. It's a time for you it's a really wonderful time. We're in the summer. It's a time for vacation, to take time off, to really love yourself, to nurture yourself, to do things you love, to really enjoy your life, to take time for pleasure, of course, this is winter in the southern hemisphere. Don't want to forget the southern hemisphere. It's down in the south of the equator. It's winter time, so it's a great time for hot baths down there. But in the summertime up here, we aren't so much wanting. But a cool bath can actually quite nice if it's hot. Getting in a cool bath can feel really rejuvenating and wonderful and renewing for you. So yeah, I mean, that's basically, and then we'll get out of the shadow. The 1st of August will actually, Venus will end her retrograde, and she won't actually get out of her retrograde shadow until the 1st of October. And in August, Jupiter will leave Leo. Jupiter's been in Leo for a year now, and will move into Virgo. So we really have a whole other different things starting to come in, beginning in August, September, October, whole new things. We do have the equinox. We have the last of the blood red moons coming up, the lunar eclipse in September. But that's a whole other story that's starting to come in, and you'll start to see what the story is that's coming in though now, this July and August. So
as you prepare yourself,
so just let go, relax, and just it's whatever you need to deepen in your trust. Because so much of the time we're programmed and trained to focus on these external, the effect.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the effect, but it's really coming from an energetic, spiritual soul level, and it can take a while for the effect to show, you know, for it to show out here. And so you need to, you know, when you want to change how things look outside, you don't keep looking outside at the outside you don't want, because then you'll just keep creating more of what you don't want. So you want to focus on how it feels and what you want to bring in and embody it and live in that experience as if it's happening now. And then you just pay as little attention to what it is you don't want as possible. I mean, you know, you can't, you know, it's not a denial of what is. It's just not giving it your energies that you want it to keep going on, where you're giving it your life force energy so that it continues into the future. You allow it to die out into the nothing, you know, because, you withdraw your energy from whatever the manifestation is that you previously energized, and you don't want to give it your energy anymore. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I see it that way as the, you know, we have, you know, what did they say, 6,000 a thought, you know, I don't know, per whatever. We have an incredible number of thoughts that cross our mind, and they're not always a conscious thought. And that is what is manifesting in our life, is all the unconscious thought that we had. We just have to deal with it, and you say, oh, okay, I embrace it. Thank you very much for showing it to me. Now I know I can make a better choice. I can make it better, you know. You know, I can change my direction now. But what I want to ask you is, how do you feel about where they say the 12th sign of the zodiac is the wheel of life, where, like the archetypal Jungian philosophy, where we need to learn, master the lessons, and then be done with it, right? That's the full growth of the soul. How do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
I don't think there is any done. I don't think there is any done with it. For one. Okay. You know, I think on the one hand, there's also, I do believe, I have an affirmation I use daily that I love. And it goes, I compliment myself and others as complete in every moment. So I think you have to live with each moment as if, you know, as it's complete. Every moment is complete in itself. And I think it's more that consciousness rather than thinking that, because the horizon is always moving further. You know, it's disappearing. So there's always, you know, we live in an ever-expanding universe. So there is no, you know, it's always going to be, so to find your completion in each moment, that you're complete in each moment. And you're not looking for out there to find your completion.
Okay, so those 12 sign of the archetypal sign of the zodiac, because that's what they're doing, the energy affect us in order for us to move and do what we need to do. Do we get at some point where we evolve that we don't need that energy?
Well, you do gain mastery. You do gain mastery in these levels. You do gain mastery, and you move to higher levels.
Exactly, that's what I meant. Like,
higher frequency energy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not like there's an ultimate completion, you know, until you reach back into God. Then that's the ultimate completion.
No, I meant that the energy affects us because we need to move, we need to process this information, because I feel that's our biggest challenge is that we don't allow the energy to move us. We are so resistant. For a lack of understanding.
Well, it's challenging. I mean, we live in a 3D. This is the form reality, which is the Saturn reality. There are different laws operating in physical 3D reality than there is in the spiritual world. And so it's learning how to work, you know, with both of those energies. And so that's the challenge, you know. It's like having a foot in both worlds. So that you do have an animal body. We have these animal bodies, that are our vessels, our vehicles for being able to have this spiritual experience in a physical body. And so you have to take, you take care of the animal body, and you learn how you learn how to evolve it, and you learn mastery over the physical. These physical laws and all. And so, you've seen in the tarot, there's the strength card. That's what I was just seeing, the angel with the lion, the beast. How she tames the beast. And how, and so then, those energies can serve you, and but that's quite challenging in itself. There are a lot of challenges to being human beings.
Absolutely.
And, it's you just take it one step at a time, and I think your astrology chart, like I said, it shows you that, you're always working with all these energies, but there's certain times, certain things, it's best for you to work with that energy than other times. You've just got the support of these planetary forces on your side for you to work with this energy. And all of us right now, we're just being given incredible support if we will be open to it. But I think a lot of times we have a program that tells us that life is against us and things are happening. We've got to watch out for survival, and we've got to, and so we honor ourselves. We're in all this resistance, and so things can't get in to assist us. And we don't even, we have to ask for help. As, we have free will, so we're not going to get strong-armed by creative life forces to take assistance. We have to ask for it. So I think that's a big step in the whole journey right there, is to really recognize yourself as a spiritual being and to ask for help regularly. That you don't have to do it on your own. And for me, most of the help that I can always count on is from the spiritual world. Whereas, in the material plane, the spiritual will show up through different people. You know what I'm saying? They send assistance through different people.
Exactly.
You show up in your life who help you. And then they can be in your life for years at a time, or they may only be there for one moment. They help you just with one thing. It's opening up your spiritual vision so you see things differently. You open up your spiritual sight, So you can see the synchrony happening rather than just the content. Because a lot of times people are just focused on the content, which is a very narrow perspective of what is happening. But if you see the context, because the creative life force, the creative intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, is infinite. It's omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. And so that context, if you think of that context, in the context of a moment in time, the content of a moment in time, that is a huge contrast there. Which do you want to go to, really, to ask for help?
Exactly. And if you are, you have to be only present at the moment to ask that. You have to receive that powerful help, because this is another challenge that we have, forever being present. That's, we always bash or feature. And that's it. But what I want to ask you is, for me, this made a big difference in my life when I started researching about astrology and studying about astrology, is that we are not just our sun sign, and what a difference it makes to not only, I hope they consult you, an astrologer, to empower themselves, to be aware that they are just more than the physical, but that they, even the personal signs. You were telling me their personal sign. I didn't even put it that way. It's not just the sun sign, but the moon and the ascendant, and how in each personality, it would make the difference. And how amazing it is to know each person in their astrological sign and what makes them who they are, because we feel and we like, oh, that person, I can't stand him. But if we know it has nothing to do with it, it's just, it's his birth chart, it's how he came to this world. This is what he's supposed to be. If we feel like we can change people in a dime, it's an individual work, of course, but that is the resonance, like you put it, right? Like that is their life signature. That's who they are in a deeper level that we can ever, imagine, right? Because we feel that, oh, this is a persona. It's true, they have some persona, but there's certain traits that they can never, escape from it because they have to work through things, right?
Yes.
But I know for me, as a Gemini, sun sign, I have a Pisces ascendant and I have a Taurus moon. So I feel like that's a perfect balance. I don't know a lot about astrology, but I know my Taurus in the moon because of my Pisces ascendant, and my Gemini, it makes me more grounded emotionally. Would that make sense?
Well, the Taurus moon definitely helps ground the emotions.
Emotion, exactly. Because I know somebody's
the Pisces ascendant would be, is very sensitive and emotional, and it can lack boundaries, can be kind of
all over,
not in touch with reality. Yeah. And then the Gemini has, is very gregarious and can be all over the place,
Yeah.
So the Taurus, it's interesting because the moon, Taurus moon, because that stabilizes the moon. The moon is the most fluctuating thing about us. So the moon fluctuates. It changes signs, it goes through the zodiac.
Like that.
In 28 days, it goes through the whole zodiac, so it fluctuates.
Yeah.
It's always changing. So, the Taurus definitely, stabilizes that fluctuating thing. But I get a feeling that it's more your mind is very inquisitive all over the place. And then the Pisces can, really channel a lot of extraneous energy as well, So, but I'm sure you have other things in there as well that, work in with it. So, it's not even just those three signs. I think of all of them, the one that probably, usually defines most women, especially, is their moon sign.
Is it?
And the Taurus, yes.
Oh.
And that was the sign that was mostly used in Vedic astrology in the more ancient astrological systems. The moon was usually used as the primary sign for knowing, because it's your deepest emotional needs, and for a woman especially, she's very tied in with her emotional life. And so, the Taurus is fixed, and so it can be stable. So, it can be fixed, stable, but it really loves food and pleasure. It's ruled by Venus, and so, I think your planets are very sociable, and you love, kind of a thing. And you love to talk about. That would be the primary thing you'd love to explore with the Gemini. Is love and things related to comfort and what will make you comfortable, and the moon really, you want to be comfortable. The moon, that really can, the Taurus moon wants to be comfortable. It wants pleasure, it wants comfort, So I would say that would be the number one thing that would rule you most of all. And that would, really how you'd be directing your other energies to support that.
Another one that's coming to my mind right now is that the Chiron sign, I know, is an healing energy. Would the sign that is on would make a difference? Whether it's on a sun, a moon, or any personal zodiac sign like an Aries?
Yeah, especially
I
I think especially where it is in your natal chart is especially important. If it's conjunct to, it's in a certain location or conjunct to certain other personal planet, that sort of thing. And right now we do have Chiron has been in Pisces. There has been a lot of healing. It has been in sextile by element. I mean, it's a little wide, right? It's 21, and Pluto is right at 14, 15, so it's a little wide right now. But it does have a good link up with Pluto, which is also about regeneration and healing, transformation. So there has been a lot of healing, especially in these two areas of your life where those Chiron and Pluto are located. So then Chiron's about to go retrograde, so you've made as much, you'll get a little respite. And there are two things that happen when you have a retrograde planet. On one hand, there's no further outward progress. You don't cover any new territory where that planet, asteroid is, right?
Okay.
But you begin to deepen. Whatever it is you covered, you're beginning to deepen. You're beginning to review what you've covered. You're really beginning to integrate the information. You're really beginning to make deep internal changes. The energy is actually closer and deeper and more internalized, so it can actually feel, for some people, more sensitive. Some people it goes to sleep for them. Depends on their level of consciousness. Some people actually work with the energy more deeply. So it depends on where you're at, how you use the energy and how things work. But it can be a time when you actually deepen in the energy, you really integrate the energy, you really make progress in whatever territory you covered in the last direct cycle, so that when it stations direct again, you really have a forward momentum and you really make progress until it reaches that point where it went retrograde, it gets out of the shadow. Then you start covering new territory again and begin, whatever that planet or asteroid is about, you begin making new inroads and covering new territory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that's how I see direct and retrograde motions. It's kind of like a combination lock. So unlocking a lock. So a planet goes direct over a certain area of the chart in a certain house, and then so that's one turn of the combination. And then you go then to the right, and then you go to the left, as it retrogrades, and then you go to the right, and then by the time it reaches the place where it went retrograde, you can open the lock. That's what the whole retrograde cycle should give you. It should really help you unlock whatever was locked in that area, so you get that growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that clarity, that aha moment, I just got it. Yeah.
You really get it. And so, you can get that. The more awareness you have, the more conscious you have with working with, that's how I work with my astrology.
Okay.
Long ago, I work with my own astrology, and I use lots of astrologers for getting new information and seeing things in a different way, because everybody sees things differently than I do, and it helps me develop as an astrologer and working with myself. So at this point, I don't, it's nice to know the timing of events. So I know how long the cycle is for, what it's good for, the timing of events and that sort of thing. But most of all, I like to use it to deepen and to get the soul growth. And I'm making the most of my time, because time is limited. As a physical being here on planet Earth, I have a limited time for being here.
Yeah. And we better.
So I want to get as much growth. There's certain things we get. My belief, there's certain growth we get as a soul here that we can't get in the spiritual realm.
And that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
It's
different people are here for different reasons.
But as long
some
as
people incarnate on the earth plane. I mean, there are people who are, like the ascended masters. They have incarnated. Jesus Christ incarnated for a certain purpose. With helping people to recognize themselves as spiritual beings, not just having an earthly experience, but they were actually, their place was in heaven as a spiritual being, and they were much more than this physical being having this limited experience where they had to, and there is, the more you awake as a soul and you evolve your consciousness and your awareness, the less you realize you don't have to struggle for anything.
And that's
there's a lot that's really automatic that comes from a spiritual level when you get the higher awareness and all. You just naturally, there's certain protection, certain grace that you've earned that's available to help you, and you access that.
And that's what I was. Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with you. That's what I was saying to my previous guest as well, is that we got confused with the soul mission from the ego, mission. It became an ego mission, like I want to get the Rolls Royce or I want to get that big house. And what is that for, right? It's going to, like the matter, like our body is going to be decomposed.
Yeah, but it's not either or. It's not either or. It's both. I think that, not that the focus should be acquisition of material things, but I think someone that's evolved spiritually may have lots of fine things and a really nice house to live in.
Yeah, but it's not the priority. That's what I'm saying. That should be the
you don't get the cart before the horse.
And that's what I feel like. This is what we are, this is what is going on at the moment.
But I don't think that you need to live, I think that to live in a consciousness of lack and be in poverty, that is not, I don't think that's someone who has very much spiritual evolution.
Yeah, no, what I meant is that it should be...
I could be wrong about that. I could be, as I say that even, because I do know that, I want to quantify that, qualify that. Because there can be people who are in all kinds of situations that are very spiritually evolved. So I don't want to, but they probably a spiritually evolved person, even if they're in an impoverished situation, they've chosen that for themselves. They're free. They're not feeling impoverished. They may be in poverty, but they can still feel full, spiritually full, and aware of themselves as a spiritual being. Even in that situation. And they treat themselves, you know what I'm saying? There are telltale things when somebody
is at peace.
Is spiritually evolved.
And at peace with where they are. And anyways, but as long as we understand that there's more to this life than just, fixating on the 3D world, right? That was the point.
And that will never fill you up. That will never fill you up. There will always be one more thing to acquire, and, where you're looking for happiness outside of yourself, and something, that then you're focused on the effect, you're not focused on where it's all coming from.
Exactly. And that
it all comes from, it comes from the level of consciousness, from the God source, from, everything is energy. Everything is coming from that. The spiritual is what comes into materiality.
Yeah, after effect. I feel like some people take on us as a custodian, and then they cash in our checks while we are lost around here. It's one of those. One of those. What do you call it? Foster home. Where they welcome the kids, but they don't care for them. Anyway, bad joke, but I hope people get what I mean by that. But thank you so much. I so appreciate your time. We have like a couple minutes left, but I don't know if you have any. I know one thing I want to touch in base with you is that you do natural aromatherapy. How does that work? Do you make it yourself or? Do you have how does that, explain that to me? I love
Yeah, I have
aromatherapy.
Pure Plant Essentials Organic Aromatherapy. It's a pure organic aromatherapy company.
Yeah.
And yes, I formulate blends, and we also sell single organic oils.
Wow. Do you make it at home, or do you have your own people that, the partner that produces for you?
Yeah, I formulated all my own blends. I've been a metaphysical healer.
Wow.
I incorporate a lot of gemstones and crystals, healing mantras and different things, and with formulating oils and
Wow.
yeah. So you can go to my website, kgstyles.com, kgstyles.com, to find out more about Pure Plant Essentials and my other products and services.
And I feel like you can work with the chakra as well with those aromatherapy, right? I bet.
Yeah, I have chakra oil kits.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah.
It's simplified for us. This is what I'm loving about this. Is so many geniuses' idea of helping us get healed and advance and just let it peel it off. That's what the hardest thing to do is just develop this new habit. That's what it is. That's what I'm going to put it. This new habit of taking care of ourselves and looking at it.
Yes, that is a great way to use the new Venus synodic cycle. Better ways to take care of ourselves, to love ourselves, to love our life.
And be at the moment, be present with yourself. Just feel it and feel yourself. What is it? Where is it going?
Yeah.
And especially, just ask that question: Where am I feeling? What I'm feeling, right? What am I feeling, and where is it? Right? That's part of your chakra. You're checking in with. Simple as that.
Checking in with yourself, honoring yourself, respecting yourself, loving yourself, caring for yourself. Then you will attract, you'll attract more of that into your own life.
And and this is what I love about it, is that it's an automatic thing. You just do what you have to do. You take care of yourself, and it's that law. It's just. You don't feel efforted, we can finally forget the effort word, we don't need to effort anything. We just need to be present, and we need to check in, we need to accept it. I think that's what it is that we need to do. And then we're going to see
the lower mind and the egoic forces, they can have a sense of urgency. They have some real, there can be survival things. It's just an animal impulse, an instinct, we've been, in our lineage, we used to have, we still are operating off a lot of animal brain, mind.
Yeah.
And just stop energizing that. Like I was talking about earlier, stop energizing the things you don't want, creating in your life anymore. So you do things to keep yourself calm and to console and soothe yourself, and not to go. You need to be the one who's the master, and not have the animal brain running you around.
Yeah, and that only happens when you don't react, but you respond.
Exactly, because that's when you create karma. Is when you're reacting, and then you just create, more and more of the same. That's what karma is. You get a karmic pattern going, and you just create more and more of the same because you keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, and when you
won't have a different result or a different effect if you keep doing the same behaviors.
Exactly. And when you feel that you feel somebody attacking you, and you feel that about to explode, that's where you need to ask yourself, why am I why am I about to explode? That's
when it's the hardest. I mean, they're your great spiritual teacher, aren't they? They're helping you to mature and gain that self-mastery over your lower forces, to be reactive. Yeah. And it takes a while for that to run its course and to not have that momentum and gravity to pull you out of yourself anymore.
Yeah, and this is what I love about the universe is it represents over and over again to check with you. Are you sure you're done with this? Are you sure? You know.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
different phases,
exactly,
you know.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
You better laugh about it because you know this is how it works. You know, just making sure, just double checking for you, just for your own sake, because it can creep it up on you. And if you're not, you know, if you're not 100% clear with it, you know, you might be in a big mission of your life, and then that moment can trigger you, and then you're gonna, you know, bring it down, whatever
And
you're
then,
doing.
and then if you do react, you just forgive yourself and, you know, learn from it and move on.
Yeah, but this is what I love about life is testing you before you get in too deep, just to clear the way for you. You know, this is what I feel like life is
Yes,
looking
it
for us,
does. It prepares you. It prepares you. It prepares you. Exactly.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want to be someplace that you're not ready for.
exactly. Like it's just clearing the way one step at a time. Are you sure? Okay, we're moving one rock at a time, just for your own sake. So this is, and that's when you're in tune. That's when you appreciate. That's when you know you're in the right path. So if somebody wants to learn, would you encourage them to do their own search, or would you encourage them first to have their own chart? In fact, if they knew they never have done anything, would you encourage them to have a consultation with an astrologer that would tell them, you know,
I would say listen to yourself. If you feel called to have a reading with an astrologer, get one.
Yeah.
You know, just wherever you're at. I don't really have a prescription. You know, one thing for everybody.
Yeah.
I think it can be individual, each person. You know, to check it out a little more. I do have a YouTube shows. You know, you can check out my astrology YouTube show, KG Styles channel. You can check that out. And then there are other astrologers, great astrologers on YouTube. Check them out and, you know, find what works right for you. I mean, what resonates for you. It's really a journey of trusting yourself. Like I said earlier, Gertrude said, when you learn to trust yourself, you'll know how to live. So I think that's the journey, is self-discovery and learning to trust yourself and learning to trust the universe, and that you and the universe, you know, the creator are one. It's one and the same force. You're just an individualized expression of that creative life force.
And you find the right way for you, whether it's astrology or whatever method that works for you. Choose it. As long as you,
you need to honor your own self. Yeah, you need to honor your own self and trust the signs. There are guideposts and signs all along the way, pointing you the way. You have recurring thoughts, dreams, you know, different things happening all the time that are guiding you all along the way.
Trying to talk to you throughout. It's up to you to be open at the individual interpretation, especially the individual interpretation, because we cannot have the same significance, like you say. We cannot experience each other. Yeah, we cannot do it for each other. As an individual journey.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is people don't trust themselves, and they wind up, going after things that are. They're trendy, or the other group people are doing it, and so it makes them feel safe and part of the group, and that they're, they have this sense of belonging. Yet, your really deepest sense of belonging is the belonging you have with yourself, and to honor yourself, and to really be living on purpose, living your own divine mission. We all have one, and, so that's what I have to say about that.
Oh, I could not agree more, because I feel like this is the moment to be empowered, and this is the moment. Even if it's always scary to trust yourself, because you're always doubting. You want that guarantee, but there's no guarantee. And I feel this is the moment we take. This is the moment we need to stand on our own and feel our own power and be okay with the million mistakes we make, and say we're learning. Every moment is a learning. It's something to learn every moment. Whether
Yeah, that's life. Life doesn't have a guarantee, like you said, and it is, it's still full of risk. But that's what makes it exhilarating and exciting, and that's what makes it life. It's not canned. It's real. It's really happening.
Yeah, and don't be fooled. If anybody tells you, you know, they're going to do it for you, then don't ever trust your power with nobody. You know, be equipped, and even if you're going to consult somebody, have your own questions.
Yeah,
That's another thing that I like.
and people, you should feel empowered when you see
Yes.
someone. You should always feel empowered, and they're not putting something on you.
Exactly. Be prepared. Have you know, everything you have in mind, write them down for yourself. And when you're in front of that person, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to know. And then see how it's going to, you know, resonate with you. You know, don't just take it in, but have a dialogue. And this is where we should be, that place of power and that place of conversation and exchange. And, you know,
I always begin every session telling people that, you know, this is meant to empower you and be a confirmation for you. Absolutely. And if anything doesn't resonate for you, just let it fall away.
Oh, I love you even more for saying that, because that's what I feel for me personally. That's what resonates the most for me, is that, you know, and this is what is so great about this, is that life is so intricate that every word can set us off. You know, every exchange that we have, there is, you know, importance in every exchange, and if you are present, there is something that is happening that is personal to you if you are aware of it. You know, you don't even need to be told what to do or to be forced to do. That's where your empowerment is, when you are there and you are aware and you're looking for it, and then you hear, and then it just, like that key you were talking about, it clicks for you, right? That's you know, that's what motivates me. That's why I'm here, because